Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be when the narcissist realizes you've won. Think about that for a moment. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So it's a holiday here in the States and all around the world, and we're in the holiday season, and there are many more holidays to come in the upcoming weeks and perhaps month. This is the time when the narcissist many times tries to rear their ugly head and hoover people. This video is not about hoovering. It's about realizing that you have won if you are out of the relationship. Now, if the relationship that you were in, if it ended recently, then maybe you don't feel like you've won. Maybe you are still thinking about the narcissist, thinking about all that time you spent with them, thinking specifically about this holiday or these holiday seasons that you are in. I understand completely the mindset. I was there. I took myself back again this morning on my walking meditation, thinking where I was in 2020 at this exact date. Then what I did is I took myself back in time to 2021 on this exact date. I did the same exercise with 2022. I did it with last year, and then I did it today in 2024. And I'll do it again next year and the years on and on and on. You see, that's how I look at my growth. That's how I look back in time and compare what year it was and where I was on the journey, not knowing what I had just exited myself from or been exited from, which was and is the toxic narcissistic relationship. You see, you weren't taught this in school, nor was I. We didn't know what we know now. You didn't have the wisdom. You didn't have the tools. You didn't know what gaslighting was. You did not know what blame shifting was. You certainly didn't know what triangulation was. You couldn't wrap your head around what financial abuse was. You couldn't understand why, when you were parenting or allegedly co-parenting with somebody, whether they were your biological children or stepchildren, that you were being counter-parented. You couldn't wrap your head around all these things. You also couldn't figure out why this person would be walking 10, 20, or 30 yards in front of you when you would be going to a barbecue. You also couldn't figure out why they were always late, or why they would blow up your birthday or holidays, or why they would claim that they were somewhere and they didn't have cell phone service, but they read your text and they didn't appear until 3 or 4 hours later. You see, that relationship and your relationship, they were littered with red flags. They were riddled with devaluation. They were riddled with triangulation, the smear campaign, verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, maybe even physical abuse. But again, you kept on giving to a fault. You kept on doing the best you could. You kept on working for a person, the narcissist, who was trying to destroy your life and tear you down. Now, all the things I talk about on the channel, these are impactful. They're real. They're things that most people can't wrap their head around. And sometimes people think that, wow, you're being a little rough, Andrew. Well, no, I'm not. Again, right now, as I'm creating this video, we'll go back mentally to 2020, where I was in this exact date. It was not a pretty space. My mind was shattered. My clarity was nowhere to be found. I had no money, detached retina, couldn't walk. It was not a good environment. Now, again, I'm not trying to trigger you or upset you. Maybe right now, this is a very challenging day for you. Maybe your relationship ended recently, and you're consuming this video to realize that there are other people out there that were and or are still in your circumstances, and I was no different. You see, the narcissist never wanted us to put ourselves back together. They never wanted us to heal. They didn't want us to figure out what they had done to us. What they did is they took everything they possibly could from us. They sold us emptiness and toxicity in a vast wasteland. They future faked us, and they kept us strung along as long as our resources would hold up. And then something broke, something snapped, something gave. And that's when that relationship ended. But before it officially ended, if you will, there were micro discards. There were micro endings or micro fractures or fissures of that relationship. And these all started when you entered that devaluation stage. You see, the narcissistic abusive cycle, it has 4 parts. One is the love bomb / euphoric stage. That's when you first meet the person and they're fawning all over you, or the relationship is moving at light speed and you can't believe that how this person's single or how this person is paying so much attention to you. Well, it's because they're trying to get their hook sunken into you. The second part of the narcissistic abusive cycle is the devaluation stage. It's when they know that they have you placed where they want you, which is in that zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog. It's a dungeon of horrors. It's a cesspool of manipulation. It's a mind you-know-what that you can't escape until you wrap your head around where you were. And after the devaluation stage, that's when the longest part of the relationship takes place. But after that comes the ending of the relationship. That's when the narcissist has found somebody new, i.e. the new supply. and they already have their hooks into that person or are about to really sink their hooks into them. And then the relationship ends, and at times there is a hoover. Now again, for those of you on the channel and in the community, you know by now, do not accept a hoover. Become unhooverable, which means become small, get off the radar of the narcissist, go no contact, block these people, don't give them any information about you, and just let them do what they do as long as they do it away from you. Unfortunately, that's the path. But not everybody receives a hoover, and if you don't receive a hoover, that's a badge of honor. That's a great thing. If you have received hoovers, you now know that going back will never benefit you. It's simply the narcissist taunting you more, tempting you more, teasing you more, promising you more, and they will deliver absolutely nothing in return. But the narcissistic abusive cycle will always go on and on. And when you do a mental exercise like I just did, maybe your relationship ended 10 years ago and you can go back in time 15, 20 years ago, who knows? Maybe your relationship ended 6 months ago and you can go back 12 months. The point is, when you really identify and understand where you were and how helpless you were and how vulnerable you were and how broken you were and how the narcissist was getting supply from you being in a very vulnerable state and broken. When you realize that, and then you wrap your head around where you are now, if perhaps now you're in a better space, and my hope is you are, then you understand you've come very far. And most of you that I have one-on-one sessions with have come very far in a very short period of time. Again, I cannot tell anybody when they will heal. Nobody can tell you when you will heal. Only you will know. And the healing path is not linear. It will take time. It will take a lot of time, but in your time you will heal. Why I just mentioned to you about the one-on-one sessions with people, it's because many of these people have made progress that they thought was unfathomable. And many people continue to get light bulb moments left, right, and center, and they continue to realize that the relationship wasn't their fault. They were manipulated. They were in the fog. They didn't know where they were, but the narcissist kept toying with them and playing with them and manipulating them. When I say playing, I mean abusing. Day after day, week after week, month after month. That's why I think about the texting games of the narcissist. When you were in that relationship and the narcissist would text you, you would drop whatever you were doing to text them back and to give them the update as to what you were doing, when you would be there, when you would pick them up, etc. And what would they do? They would say, yep, got another one on the hook. All right, how many do I have now? Oh, 3, 4, 5. Wow, I only have 5. I need to get back on the social media apps and get another 5 because I'm used to having 8, 9, 10 people lined up and on the hook. Okay, so I now have more work to do. That's what the narcissist says, things like that, in their tiny little brain. But what the narcissist didn't realize, and they're realizing it right now, is that A, you are stronger than you know. B, you're resilient. C, you're committed. D, you're determined. E, you're full of positivity and abundance. And whatever letter I'm on, F is that you cracked the code. You found that needle in a haystack. You are either putting yourself back together or you have done it. And that's what the narcissist never thought you would do. See, the narcissist looks at people and relationships as opportunities, and they look at it as a zero-sum game that they're going to win. Because before they met you, they had broken up so many relationships and driven wedges between so many people and anything that mattered to them. And they had destroyed hearts, hopes, dreams, aspirations, goals, futures, purposes. And they ran across you and they said, wow, I can add this one to the kitty also. I'll just do what I can do here, take whatever I can, keep them stuck in that zombie-like, trance-like state, and I'll discard them or string them along or not give them closure or keep that door open. That's what I'll do because it fuels me. It makes me feel important. It makes me feel better. But what happened with you, just like me, is one day, not only did you say to yourself, I understand what this is. I realize that I'm a totally different person. I realize that I don't want to be around certain people. I realize I can't be around the narcissist and or toxic people. I've taken stock of all the people I surround myself with and of all the people throughout my life who perhaps did damage to me that I didn't know about back then. I now know what narcissism is. I now know what the definitions in the glossary in the narcissistic abusive cycle are. Example, what is projection, mirroring, object constancy, rage fit, all these things. I now have coupled those definitions with my real life experience, and that equals wisdom. This is a wisdom I've acquired over a period of time, which was the length of that narcissistic relationship. And this wisdom cannot be bought. It can't be purchased in a university class. It can't be bought in a course. It can't be bought from somebody reading a book. Now you can brush up on your education, but your education is not wisdom. There is a huge difference between education and wisdom. Wisdom means you've been through the fire. You've risen through the ashes like a phoenix. You've had to put yourself back together piece by piece, day by day, sometimes minute by minute, post-narcissistic relationship, because you had to understand that that relationship was the relationship you had to heal from. You didn't know that back then. That's why this is one relationship that you really need to take seriously, and you really need to slow your life down. And you really need to realize that the further you get away from the narcissist, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the smaller they get. The smaller they get, the weaker they get. The weaker they get, the more clarity your mind has. The clearer your mind is, the more your energy returns. The more your energy returns, the more your health returns. The more your direction returns. The more your focus returns. And the more your path is presented to you. Now, everything I'm mentioning to you, I've shared in bits and pieces throughout videos over the years. This video is to let you know that there will be a time when the narcissist realizes that not only did they lose, but that you won. And you may say, well, why would I want to win? I will tell you, as I've shared earlier in the week, because we're in the holiday Hoover season, our time of year, to us, relationships aren't about winning or losing. To us, relationships are about togetherness, fulfillment, commitment, direction, purpose, and love and abundance. That's not what relationships are to the narcissist. The narcissist wants to take everybody's anything, which means your beautiful, bright, shining light, your energy, your money, time, relationships, health, hobbies, etc. And they want to crush it and take it and acquire it and decimate it and leave you a shell of yourself. That's why when you're in these relationships, you lose your identity to the narcissist. You become a shell of yourself. You become an extension of them. So why I'm saying when the narcissist realizes you won, it's when you finally, and I mean finally, close the door on these people. You go no contact, you block them, etc. You remove all flying monkeys, etc. You stop giving them chances. You stop helping them out. You stop ruminating about them, which I know you can't control, but that's part of the healing path. Eventually that will dissipate, and eventually it will go away if you utilize the tools that are provided for you on the channel and in the community. But when you finally get that last light bulb moment as far as the narcissist goes, that's when you slow your life down. That's when you give yourself closure. That's when you realize the damage that was done to you. And it wasn't minuscule. It was major damage. That's why when you were in that relationship, it was almost as if it was death by 1,000 paper cuts till the very end, meaning the end of that relationship, because it was. You kept trying to work for the person who kept on trying to cut you more and more and more. And eventually something broke, something snapped, something gave. Maybe you put up a boundary. Maybe you called them out. Maybe you said the magic word and the strongest word in the English language, which is no. Remember, when you say no to something or someone, you are saying yes to yourself. Maybe you told the narcissist that, and then they said, wait a minute, this person's stronger than I thought. They actually wised up and they figured out I'm abusing them. What do I need to do? Oh, that's right. I'll go and I'll look at page 84 and I'll insert the new supply. And maybe I'll discard this person. This is why the loop just continues to go around and around and around. And in that narcissistic abusive loop, there's one common denominator, one constant, and it's not you. It's the narcissist, and they know it, and now you're learning it. So when the narcissist realizes that you won, it's when they can't get to you. It's when you don't take the bait. It's when you don't loan them money. It's when you don't unblock them. It's when you don't accept a package or correspondence that was left in your postbox or your front door. It's when you no longer want to know anything about them, hear anything about them. It's when you've cut out every person who is one step away from them. It's when you hear their name, you cringe. It's when you see a picture that you don't want to see, you feel like throwing up. It's because the narcissist is toxic. They are not a good person. And at one point in time when you were in that relationship, you would do anything in the world for them. You gave to a fault. You probably were a people pleaser. And you were devoted and committed not only to them, but to that relationship. And they took advantage of that. Then you went through the void, which is post-relationship, the post-ending, which is the discarder if you removed yourself. And that's when you had to heal. That's when you had to stay in that cocoon of boundaries and insulate and protect yourself, which is what you've done, or it's what you're doing. And then eventually you rise through the ashes like a phoenix, and you come out of that cocoon of boundaries like a butterfly, and you fly wherever you want to fly to. When you get there, your direction is now towards the pinnacle of indifference, the mountaintop of indifference, where you no longer care about the narcissist. This is when what? That's right. This is when you have won. Now, I mentioned earlier, relationships to us, the empaths, we don't think about winning or losing, but that's what the narcissist thinks about. So what we are doing when we say the narcissist will realize you have won, it's because they're going to realize eventually something's different about this person, which was you or is you. I can't get to them the way I used to. I can't get them on the phone. I can't get them through email. I can't disrupt their energy. I can't disrupt them on the third-party app about our child custody arrangements. I can't get to them the way, they're not giving me anything. They're choking me out. They're starving me out. What's going on? Oh my gosh, they figured it out. They cracked the code. They're not giving me any information. They're not giving me any emotions. They're not giving me anything. They're utilizing this thing that I heard about but I've never experienced called gray rock. And what is gray rock for all you people on the channel and in the community that perhaps you don't know? Gray rock is when you become dull and boring and you starve out a toxic person, which in this case is the narcissist, of emotion, of energy, of information, of anything about you. You become dull and boring just like a rock. That's what you do. And eventually you don't have to communicate with these people, and then they leave you alone and they go elsewhere. At least that's my hope. But the narcissist will be saying that. They'll be saying, I've always heard about this thing called gray rock, but no one's ever done it to me because I'm infallible and no one can ever get to me. There's no way I could break them down. Well, not so fast, toxic narcissist. You see, the people in the channel and on the channel and in the community, they have mastered gray rock, or they're learning to, and they're understanding that their energy is priceless, their time is invaluable, their resources are immeasurable, and all those those things are for themselves, not for you any longer. You took the best thing you will ever have in your life, which was the person consuming this video, and you crumbled them up like a sheet of paper and threw them away in the freeway. And you never ever thought that they would rise from the ashes. You never thought that they would put themselves back together. You certainly didn't believe that they would heal. And you always thought that you would have the ability to get back to them, to get more money from them, or more time, or put a roof over their head, or give them another chance to abuse you during romantic relationships, or vice versa, etc. But that's not what happened. You see, these people, the people on the channel, are some of the fortunate ones, some of the resilient ones, some of the courageous ones, the strong ones, some of the ones who have won. Winning in this situation, i.e. the narcissistic relationship, is when you reclaim your life, you heal, you understand what narcissism is and how it affected you, you process relationships, you heal childhood wounds, you journal, you meditate, you watch videos, you read, you really take stock of not only the narcissist, but of everybody in your life to this point in time. And you identify who was in your camp and who wasn't, and who was drinking the Kool-Aid of the toxicity and who wasn't, and who was an enabler, who was a flying monkey, who was behind the scenes pulling puppet strings. And then you look and say, who was actually in your corner? Who was there for you? Who was there to listen to you when you needed a friend or when you needed somebody? Those people are few and far between, but I am sure you now understand that this is a path for one, by one, that benefits one. And that's what the narcissist never wanted you to figure out. You see, the narcissist wanted you to believe that you were losing, that they were winning, that you couldn't put yourself back together, that there was no hope for you, there was no future for you, that it wouldn't get any better than staying stuck in that narcissistic relationship. Well, I've got news for you, toxic narcissists. Once we broke free from the chains, no matter how it happened, if we were discarded or if we ended ourselves, after we healed and filled that void up with ourselves, we are now in the third version of ourselves, the strongest, most galvanized version of us known to humankind. Most people on the planet will never get there. Most people can't even wrap their head around it. Most people think that I'm just making those words up. Well, newsflash, there are so many thousands of people I've helped get there, and they are in the third version of themselves, and they're living their best life. These people are taking classes, teaching classes, reading books, writing books, creating, living, traveling, enjoying, embracing, and being surrounded by like-minded people who are abundant, positive, empathetic, kind, loving, and are not wearing masks. This is the path. And for those of you who believe that A, empathy doesn't exist, or the third version of you doesn't exist, you either A, have work ahead of you, or B, you will never get there because you're in disbelief. You see, anything worth doing at all is going to have a price tag to pay for it. Example, if you went to med school, you didn't just go there day one and you got a download and now you're a doctor. You had to go to 4, 8, 12 years of med school and do whatever you did. It's the same thing as the healing path. The healing path is not linear. It will take time. It will take a lot of time. But in your time, you will heal if you stay on track, stay on course. Do not give up. Don't ever give up. Continue to move forward each and every day. Focus on yourself, and eventually you will not only arrive at the pinnacle, but you will have won. This is where the energetic shift happens. This is when the cords are cut from the narcissist. This is when you can do whatever you want to do. And this is what the narcissist never wanted you to do, because the narcissist is a master manipulator, and they are so accustomed to keep people stuck in that dungeon of horrors, in that dungeon of destruction, and in that pitch blackness, which is the narcissistic fog, i.e. the low vibrational quagmire state where they exist. This is where they want people. They don't want people breaking the chains. They don't want people evolving and finding their true selves and finding their calling and their path. But that's what you've done, or that's what you're doing. And that's why you have won. And there will be a time, trust me when I tell you, when the narcissist in their tiny little brain, they will be looking back on this holiday and many others, and they will say, wow, I had such a great thing with that person, which was you, for whatever period of time it was. They would do anything, and we had such good times, etc. And guess what I did? I blew it up. Why? Because I wasn't authentic, and I was only manipulating them. I was using them. And now I'm doing the same thing with somebody else who doesn't have 1/100th of what you had, meaning the empathy, the love, the kindness, compassion, the intelligence, everything. Not comparing your life to others. I'm sharing with you that this is your journey, and your journey should be appreciated, respected, loved, embraced, honored, cherished, and it should have a direction, which is getting as far away as possible from the narcissist. So before I close the video, I shared with you in the beginning of this that I do mental exercises frequently about whatever period of time it is in the calendar. And today is a holiday in the States, and I'm sure there's multiple holidays that are taking place. But I use this exercise, and I go back in time where I was when I was 20, 30, 40, etc. Then I go back to 2020, yes, that year. And then I go back to 2021, and I see my growth, 22. And now here we are at the end of 2024. And I'm a completely different person I am now than I was 4 years ago. And I will be a completely different person tomorrow than I am now, because I am evolving, I'm growing, I'm ascending. I am in that third version of myself. I have won. You have won, or you're about to win. You need to realize that going no contact and cutting these parasites out of your life is the path. If not now, when? So if today is a vulnerable day for you, or if the relationship ended recently, I get it. Slow your life down. Pull out the journal. Write down what's going through your mind. Meditate. Understand that where you are today is not where you will be in a year, in 2 years, 3 years. Understand where you are today is not where you'll be tomorrow. The sun will still rise tomorrow. The wind will still blow. The trees will still grow, and you will still evolve and change. But getting away from the toxic narcissist as far as you possibly can will increase your energy, your clarity, your abundance, your fortitude, your direction, and your purpose. This is the path. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. And realize something. Today, it's a vulnerable day for some people, vulnerable period of time. I understand. We all have our own journey. We all have to do the best we can. But remember, where you once were is not where you are. And if you're out of that relationship, even if it ended recently, stay on the path. Stay away from these people. They don't have your best interest at heart. They just want to keep you stuck and trapped. And if your relationship ended years ago and you've healed, drop comments below. Pay it forward to the people in the community that perhaps this is the first video they're consuming. Remember, at one point you were the new supply. You were that shiny new object that the narcissist was looking to target. So was I. But no longer are we either of those things. We are beautiful, bright, shining lights, and we've ascended and elevated and arrived at that pinnacle of indifference. We shine brighter than the sun, the moon, and the stars, and that's what the narcissist didn't want us to do. The narcissist wanted to extinguish our energy and our beautiful, bright, shining light, and they tried their best for the length of that relationship, but they failed, and they failed miserably, which is why you have won, and the narcissist now knows that you have won. I love you all. God bless you. Enjoy your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.